All right, so today we're going to learn how to factor a quadratic expression. And I've broken this down into steps. Okay, so there's 5 steps to factoring a quadratic expression. And these notes, they talk about it in Math Nation. It's section 5, topic 2. Okay, so that'll be your homework on Wednesday. We're going to do notes on it today, practice some more tomorrow. But that'll be your topic 2 video in Math Nation. So our first step here, when we're factoring a quadratic expression, so there's no equal signs, right? We just have an expression. We need to determine if there is a greatest common factor, a GCF. So looking at this equation, I have 2x squared, 5x, and negative 12. And based on those numbers, can I divide any of those numbers by anything besides 1 and still get a whole number? Well, no. That means there is no GCF for this quadratic expression. Okay, so now we can move on to step number 2. We're going to set up an area model or a box method as we've been using. Okay, and we are going to take this A term. Remember, this is our A term, B term, C term. So we're going to take our A term and we're going to fill it into this box right here. So we're going to take this term and fill it in right here. And we get 2x squared. Haven't done anything, haven't computed anything. We're just moving things around. And we're going to take this C term here, our 12, and we're going to fill it into this box in our box method. Okay? That goes right there. So negative 12. Now step number 3 says create and solve an X puzzle. Now my in-person students, we practiced with some X puzzles last week. I don't think I did that with you, but we'll practice them plenty today. So to solve an X puzzle, we're going to multiply the A and the C term together, and we're going to put that in the top of the X. So 2x squared multiplied by negative 12, we're going to put that in the very top of the X. And so that's going to be negative 24x squared. Okay, I just took my A term, multiplied it by my C term. Then we're going to put the B term, right? That's our B term. And we're going to put it in the bottom of our X. So our B term is positive 5x. Now step 3, we need to find 2 factors of the top term that add together to the bottom term. So what I recommend doing is writing your top term, negative 24, and we're going to make a T-chart of all the factors of 24. So we have 1 times 24. Oh, and we need to remember that we have a negative, sorry. We have a negative 24. So one of our numbers is going to have to be negative. So if we have negative 1 times 24, if we add those together, we're going to get 25. If we have negative 2 times 12, if we add those together, we're going to get a positive 10. If we do a negative 3 times 8, if we add those together, we get 5. So that is the term that we are looking for. Those are the 2 terms, the factors that multiply together to give you negative 24 and add together to give you a positive 5. Okay, since I am slightly out of space, I'm going to have to erase my t-chart, but we'll practice that on the other side again. So in my x, on the sides of my x, I'm going to fill in negative 3x and a positive 8x, because those two factors multiply to give me my a and c term, and they add together to give me my b term. So now for step 4, I'm going to take the two numbers that I already had filled in, and I can fill them in this box now below. Okay, so I have 2x squared, and I had negative 12. And now I'm going to take the two terms that I factored in step 3 and fill in the boxes in step 4. So I'm going to put negative 3x and positive 8x. And I always use my signs so that I know what sign to pull out. So now I've filled in the box with my two new terms. And now I'm going to pull out the common factors for each row and column. Okay, so pulling out our common factors, I've got a 2x squared and a plus 8x. A common factor here is going to be a positive 2 and x. Okay, because both boxes have an x and both of the numbers are divisible by 2. If I go below, I have a negative 3x and a negative 12. So I can I can factor out a negative 3. Okay, now I'm going to go to the top of the box. Well, I have 2x squared and negative 3x, so I can factor out an x. I can't factor out any of the numbers. Then I look at positive 8x and a negative 12. Well, because this is positive, I can only pull out a positive, okay? So don't be confused. We're not pulling out a negative from a positive. We can only pull out a positive because that closest number is positive. So we're going to pull out a positive, or factor out a positive 4. Now we just need to double check our factors. Does 2x times x equal x squared? Yes. Does negative 3 times x equal negative 3x? Yes. Does 2x times 4 equal a positive 8x? Yes. And does negative 3 times positive 4 equal a negative 12? Yes. So now that I've checked my work, all I need to do now is write this expression in factored form. So my first factor is 2x minus 3. And my second factor is x plus 4. Okay, so that is how you factor an expression. And we're going to go through and we're going to do one more example, and then I'm going to have you do 6 practice problems on your own. But I'll be here to help and answer questions if you need it. Okay, so now we're going to look at the expression 2x squared plus 14x plus 20. Is there a greatest common factor for these terms? Okay, we're looking for our greatest common factor. Is there a number that we can divide by that would equally divide into 2, 14, and 20? Yes. we can factor out the 2. Okay, so if we factor out the 2, our new expression is going to look like this. So we're going to factor out our 2. 2x squared divided by 2 is going to be x squared. 14x divided by 2 is going to be 7x. And 20 divided by 2 is going to be 10. So now that we've pulled out our greatest common factor, now we can use our new expression to fill in our box. Okay, so we're going to fill in our x squared in the top left-hand corner and our positive 10 in the bottom right-hand corner. Okay, now we need to determine what our a times c is. Well, 1 times positive 10 is going to be 10x squared. So we're going to put that in the top of our box, of our x, I'm sorry. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more so it's easier for me to write. All right, our a times our c is what we filled in here. And our b term is going to be equal to 7x this time. So we're going to fill in our b term in the bottom of our x. And now we need to determine what numbers multiply together to give us 10 and add up to give us 7. Now, this particular example, we have a positive 10x squared. So we either are going to have 2 negatives or 2 positives, but because our b is also a positive number, we're going to be dealing with positives. So we have 1 times 10. If you add those together, you're going to get 11. And if we have 2 times 5, we're going to add those together and we're going to get 7. Thank you, Dominic. So this looks like the correct pair. I'm going to fill in the sides of my x, 2x and 5x. And now I can take these two numbers and fill in the box in step 4. Okay, so the first two numbers that I filled in up above didn't change. So I have 2x squared and negative 12. And then I'm going to have a positive 2x and a positive 5x. That's not a negative 12. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. And this is a positive 10. That makes a little bit more sense. All right, so now that we filled in the box, now we're going to pull out our common factors. So if we have 2x squared and 5x, what is a common factor? Just x. Now if we have 2x and 10, our common factor is going to be positive 2. Now looking at the top, 2x squared plus 2x, I can factor out a 2x. Sorry guys, I was looking at the other box. This is just an x squared. Goes in there, not a 2x squared. You can always unmute and tell me if I wrote in the wrong thing. That's okay. Okay, x squared and 2x, all I can factor out is an x. Then I have my positive 5x and my 10, and I can factor out a 5. Okay, I'm going to double check my math. Does x times x give me x squared? Yes. Does x times 5 give me a positive 5x? Yes. Does positive 2 times x give me a positive 2x? Yes. And does positive 2 times 5 give me a positive 10? Yes. So now I can take my factored pairs and list them below. So I have x plus 2 and x plus 5. There's one thing I cannot forget to include in my answer, and that is my greatest common factor, and that's 2. Okay, so that greatest common factor needs to be included in my final answer in step 5. All right, so those are the 2 examples for our notes for factoring expressions. Now I want you to go ahead and do the practice problems. You can open up the forms to complete the practice problems. If you have questions while you're doing them, please just let me know. I'm here to help. I know this is a new skill that you've never had to do before.